Today we're talking about multiplying fractions. So to do this, whether they're a fraction or a mixed number, we simplify the problem first and then multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. So step 1, simplify. Step 2, multiply the numerator. And 3, multiply the denominator. Make sure you have those written down. Okay, so make sure you paused and wrote them down. If not, here we go. 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 3 is 6. These were already simplified, so we don't have to do anything. I'm going to show you down here what I mean by simplify. Okay, 2 times a negative 3/4. 2 can be thought of as a 2 over 1. 3/4 is already simplified. 2 over 1 is already simplified, but 2 and 4 share a like number. They can be simplified by dividing by a 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So what about 3 and 1? Nothing can be simplified there. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 2 is 2. So I have a negative 3/2 because this negative times a positive is a negative. I can simplify that further by making it into a 1 and 1/2. Okay, so over here, let's look at this one. 2/7 times 3/8. 2/7 and 3/8 are already simplified. What about 3/7? Can that be simplified? The answer is no. 2/8 can be simplified though. They both share a 2 in common. So I can simplify 2 to 1 and 8 to 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And 7 times 4 is 28. So I get a negative 3 and 28. And make sure that you can see your negative. Look how mine actually doesn't look like it was a negative sign. So we need to make sure that we can see that. All right, so go ahead and you try a couple of these. Remember, this negative 4 could be like a 4 over 1. Okay, so pause the video, try these. I'm going to actually go through the answers. So 3/5 and 1/2 can't be simplified. 3 and 2 can't be simplified. 1 and 5 can't be simplified. Remember, anything in the numerator can be simplified with anything in the denominator, but you can't simplify numerators with numerators and denominators with denominators. Since these are already simplified, 3 times 1 is 3, and 5 times 2 is 2. So this is already in simplest form. Over here, 2/3 is already simplified, and 4 over 1 is already simplified. 3 and 4 can't be simplified, and 2 and 1 can't either. So 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. We know that a positive times a negative is a negative. So this, though, can be written as a mixed number. 8 divided by 3. It goes in evenly twice with a total of 2/3 left over. So 2 and 2/3. Where do we get that? 2/3. Okay, and it's going to be a negative. Here we've got a negative 1/3 times a negative 3/7. 1/3 and 3/7 are already simplified. 1 and 7 are already simplified, but 3 and 3 are not. And simplify them both to 1. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 7 is 7, and a negative times a negative is a positive, so my answer is 1/7. All right, let's look at this one. Find 1/2 times 4 and 2/5 in simplest form. First thing we need to do is make this into an improper fraction. So bring down your 1/2, bring down your multiplication sign. We're going to change that to a dot, okay? We're going to start writing multiplication signs with dots. It makes algebra a little bit easier. So if I have 4 wholes and I want to change them into fifths, I can multiply. Because what I'm saying here is like I have 5/5 and another 5/5 and another 5/5 and another 5/5, which would be like having a total of 20/5. So I can do it a lot easier than that. I can just multiply 4 times 5 and get 20 and then add the 2/5. It's the same thing as what we got here. Do you see that? So I would have a total of 22/5. This is what I like to call the C method. I don't know if anybody's ever taught you that before, but I'm going to reteach it to you right now. So you multiply and then you add whatever's on top. It's the C method. you go like you would do a C backwards. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 is 22 fifths. The reason why that works is because we're making these 4 into 5 fifths each and then add the 2 fifths on. Okay, now I can simplify. If I look here, 2 and 22 share a 2 in common. So I'm left with 11 fifths, which we can change into a mixed number. Remember, 11 divided by 5. 5 goes into 11 twice with 1 left over. So 2 and 1 fifth. All right, go ahead and let's try these. And then when you're finished, unpause the video. Okay, so make sure that you first multiply. So we need to make sure that all of these are either improper or regular fractions. So this is 1/4. 8 times 9 gives us 72, plus 4 is 76. So we have 76 ninths. 76 and 4. They share a 4 in common. 4 goes into itself once. It goes into 76 19 times. So that would be like 19 over 9, which we know we can divide by 9, and it goes in twice, and with 1 left over. So 2 and 1 ninth. Over here, 5 times 3 plus 1. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16 thirds, times 3 over 1. So the 3's cancel each other out, and I'm left with 16 over 1, or just 16. 1 times 8 plus 7. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 7 is 15. So we've got 15 eighths, and it's negative. Make sure you have your negative sign. Times a negative. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So we've got 12 fifths. Okay, 15 and 5 share a 5 in common. It goes into itself once. It goes into 15 3 times. 8 and 12 share a 4 in common. 4 goes into 8 twice. It goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so leave it alone. We can divide 9 by 2, and it goes in 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8 with 1 left over. So we have 4 and 1/2. And that's all I have for you today. See you next time.